We'll answer questions during the Q&A and post any remaining responses through the official RFA Q&A process. I'd like to introduce the DMPSJ staff joining today's presentation. Joining me today is Sandra, our grants management specialist, who will assist with questions.
Hi, everyone.
Let's begin with an overview of DMPSJ and the Safe Passage Program. DMPSJ coordinates public safety initiatives across the district. Safe Passage is one of those initiatives and is administered through community partnerships. The office, so let's take a closer look at the program. DMPSJ seeks to fund programs that enhance safety for students traveling to and from school, and also that help reduce incidents of violence in identified priority areas. Our Safe Passage also utilizes a community-based crime reduction model to improve student safety in priority areas through surveillance and violence intervention services. Safe Passage ambassadors are trained to identify, intervene, de-escalate, and report violence against students. Understanding the program begins with understanding the need. Students continue to experience safety concerns during school travel. Safe Passage responds by providing trusted adults who monitor routes, engage youth, and coordinate with partners. We're looking for applications where they can demonstrate Safe Passage addresses the needs by providing visible and consistent and trusted adult presence, supporting proactive engagement, route monitoring, prevention, and de-escalation. Also coordinating with schools, community partners, and district agencies. The needs shape our program goals. DMPSJ seeks proposals that demonstrate the ability to increase student perception of safety, reduce violence, conflict, escalation, and disruptions, and strengthen positive engagement with students, families, and communities. We also look for applicants who can show improved coordination among our schools, CBOs, other district agencies, and community partners. We're looking for applicants who can support safer, more connected school communities. Our performance management. Performance will be assessed by operational compliance, implementation quality, early outcomes and learning, and timely reporting and financial management requirements. Providers will participate in ongoing performance reporting, data collection, and implementation review activities throughout the grant period. Fiscal year 2027 RFA enhancements. Returning applicants will notice several enhancements, including new needs assessments, program goals, performance framework, stronger narrative questions, operational scenarios, and greater emphasis on continuous improvement. These enhancements are intended to strengthen proposal quality, improve program implementation, and support continuous improvement and effective contract management. Now, let's discuss the application. The funding period is October 1, 2026 through September 30th, 2027. Awards depend on available funding. Eligible applicants are nonprofit organizations with a valid DC business license serving district residents. Let's review how to apply. Applications must be submitted through Zoom Grants. Register early, direct technical issues to Zoom Grants, and submit RFA questions by the published deadline. As you can see, the deadline for Zoom grants is July 13th, 2026 at 11:59. Next, let's look at organizational capacity. Oh, before we move to that, I just want to also show that the grants management review preview. In Zoom grants, when you're clicking on the application, this is the screen that you'll see. As you can see, the red arrow is pointing to the program that's open where you would click and begin your application for this RFA. Applicants should demonstrate the financial and administrative capacity to manage a reimbursement-based grant. The MPSJ seeks to fund organizations that demonstrate fiscal management practices and internal controls, the organizational capacity to successfully implement the Safe Passage program and requirements. And if needed, organizations can partner with a qualified sponsor to support grant administration, payroll, and reimbursement management. Formal agreements with some contractors must be completed at the time of application submission. And we say this about not to discourage anyone for applying, but just to let you know what is required when it comes to financial management, because we want you to look for those sponsors if need be so that you can apply for a grant and not have that be a barrier. Now let's discuss program implementation. These are the core expectations for every grantee, and they're reflected throughout the narrative, work plan, budget, and performance framework. Regardless of what priority area you choose, you will have to have, you'll be expected to follow the following core implementation requirements: to monitor designated student commute routes, to coordinate with schools and district agencies, to support student attendance through proactive engagement, to engage students, families, businesses, and community members, to prevent violence through early intervention, to maintain staff suitability and participation, all required trainings, and to collect and analyze program data to support implementation and continuous improvement. The next slide summarizes the overall model. The model brings together route monitoring, youth engagement, coordination, staffing, legislatively required trainings, and implementation of the SOP. Now, let's look at the priority areas. In 2026 to 2027 school year, the Safe Passage program will cover 11 priority areas and includes predetermined routes that will be monitored by Safe Passage ambassadors. As you can see, we're going to serve Anacostia, Brooklyn, Columbia Heights, Congress Heights, Eastern, Fort Totten, Minnesota Avenue / Deanwood, Noma, Potomac Avenue, Petworth / Brightwood, and Tenleytown. The MPSJ urges anyone that's applying to pick sites that they feel they can serve or realistically serve based on the capacity within the organization. And please refer to the RFA for a complete list of routes. I'm going to move to staffing. These staffing projections are planning estimates to help develop planning plans and budgets so that we can prioritize full ambassador coverage. So ambassadors coverage is the foundation of this initiatives and proposals. And the proposal should reflect a commitment to ensuring visible, consistent, and adequately staffed routes across both morning and afternoon shifts. We'll now move into the application section. Um, sorry, we're gonna go to staffing structure and compensation. So Safe Passage ambassadors are part-time employees. Their pay rate is $23.50. They'll work up to 25 hours a week, with a expected pay of $587.50 weekly. And our model is a partner model where ambassadors should be side by side each other. Ambassadors should be side by side each other and not out of sight of each other at any time. Our Safe Passenger supervisors are actually full-time staff members, and they work an 8-hour shift Monday through Friday. They make $28 an hour and are planning to make $1,100 weekly. And just another part of staffing structure is that when DCPS, we follow the DCPS. Our model follows DCPS staffing. When DCPS is in session, our staff are asked to also be in session. So if our kids are traveling to and from school and DC has not closed, we ask that our ambassadors also remain en route. All right, so now we're going to application sections. So this description of proposal sections. So this is basically a roadmap of how you will apply for an application. And we'll go through each section. I'll briefly explain what each section is asking for and what reviewers will be looking for. We'll begin with your application profile. This slide provides the applicant profile. It should be entirely filled out and signed by an authorized official before submission. This section provides the basic organizational information reviewers need. It also says here, don't forget the deadline will be July 13, 2026. All right, our next slide is on scoring. Please pay close attention to the point values assigned to each section. They help indicate where reviewers will focus the greatest attention. Any applications that score 60 or less will not be eligible for funding. Okay, let's begin with the project abstract. Think of the project abstract as the executive summary of your proposal. We're asking that you briefly describe who you are, the priority areas you propose to serve, and the services you intend to provide. All right, now we'll discuss the project narrative. This is one of the most important sections of the application. It explains how your organization will implement the program, not just what you plan to do, but it also describes staffing, supervision, deployment, readiness, and expected impact. This is worth 10 points. Next is your evidence-informed approach. We're asking applicants to describe the strategies that guide your work and explain how your organization supports youth through evidence-informed and trauma-informed practices. If applicable, include lessons learned or measurable results from previous work. Strong programs are built on strong partnerships. And that brings us to the next category, community engagement and partnership. We're asking you that you describe how you will build and maintain relationships with schools, families, community organizations, and district partners. Strong partnerships are essential to the Safe Passage program. The next section is new for fiscal year 27. Operational scenarios. Applicants will respond to realistic scenarios that demonstrate decision-making, supervision, communication, de-escalation, and operational readiness. We're interested in your approach and how you would respond. Next, we'll talk about organizational capacity. Use this section to demonstrate why your organization is prepared to successfully manage this grant. Describe leadership, staffing, financial systems, grant experience, and any subcontractors. Data is also an important part of the program's success. In this section, we ask that you explain how your organization will collect, monitor, and use data to support continuous improvement and measure implementation. Let's review the required letters of support. We're asking that you submit at least 2 current letters that demonstrate meaningful partnerships and support for your proposed work within the selected priority area. Letters or MOUs can come from stakeholders, whether that's schools, other CBOs, MPD, WMATA, rec centers, or other local institutions. Next, we'll talk about the project work plan. Your work plan should clearly connect your objectives, activities, timeline, and reasonable staff. You want to make sure that your work plan aligns with the narrative. Budget. Your budget should support your proposed activities and staffing plan. You want to use the required template and provide clear justifications. DMPSJ strongly encourages applicants to prioritize full staffing of Safe Passage ambassadors as the central focus of the proposed budget. Ambassador coverage is the foundation of this initiative, and proposals should reflect a commitment to ensuring visible, consistent, and adequately staffed routes across both morning and afternoon shifts. Here's the budget template that you'll follow for your submission process. Before we finish, we're going to ask if there's anybody has any questions before we get to a few reminders and tips. Okay, so since we don't see any questions, we'll move on to the applicant checklist. This checklist that you see on your screen is what we are providing for you to use before submitting your application to ensure all required documents and certifications are included. And a few tips for your proposal. We're asking that you answer every question completely, align your narrative, work plan, and budget, use specific examples, describe lessons learned, tailor your proposal to this year's RFA, and demonstrate your organization's capacity. And that concludes our presentation, and we'll ask anyone if they have any questions. Okay, well, thank you for your interest in the fiscal year Safe Passage program. We appreciate your commitment to student safety and look forward to reviewing your applications. Thank you.